Hi, my name is Megan, and this is a Naughty Mess Knitting Podcast. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 11. For those of you who are joining me again, welcome back. For anyone new, hi, my name is Megan. I am a yarn lover based out of the Pacific Northwest. I live just north of Seattle with my husband, Mike, my daughter, Theo, my mom, Cindy, and our dog, Winter. We have so many things to cover today, so I guess let's just get cracking. I'm going to start with what I'm wearing, which might look familiar to some of you. And that is because today I finished this. I think I looked back and it was like episode 3 that I had finished it. But I haven't worn it yet on an episode. I tried it on a very hot, like August day. And that was it was a sweaty idea. Today it's October 20th. It's not November yet. It hasn't been the baby's birthday. Her birthday is at the end of this month, and I'm very excited to have a little party for her. And I want to see if she'll smash the cake. I don't know. I have not seen many babies in real life actually smash the cake. We've been to a lot of first birthdays, but I do think Theo gets rather excited around food. It's very possible, even not eating it, she will just, put her fist right into the food. TBD, I'll let you guys know. Her party's not until next weekend, so, but I'm very excited. So this episode, we're going to cover all the normal stuff. I have a couple FOs. I have lots of whips still, though not very many new cast-ons, so that's good. And I want to talk about the knitting weekend away, plus a couple of acquisitions of some fun things. So we have lots to talk about. This, though, it is release day for this pattern, which is a test knit I completed a while ago. I think that there were a couple of grading issues, like in the sleeves. That was really the only thing. And Mollie had changed it before everybody was done, so several people did the other sleeve pattern. It's not very different. I think just the decreases were less rapid, and a little bit like there was length added to all the sizes, which I did add length to these sleeves, and I knit them one size larger, but that was a gauge issue, not because of the pattern or fit. I'm happy with the fit as it is. There wasn't a lot of other changes, I don't think, but the pattern is out today. So if you are interested, here are the details. It is called the Bauxite. It is by Mollie Conrad, who is White Owl Crochet Co. on Instagram. It's a circular yoke top-down sweater. It's got a pretty loose gauge, like think Lento if anybody's made that. I think it's something like very similar to that. And it has this like very cute little eyelet detail, so you can see them here. That's also on the, well, you can't see that, hold on. It's on the cuffs, and it's also on the hem. And it comes in 2 lengths, both cropped and like full length. I did full length. I kind of blocked this obnoxiously to get to pattern measurements. I think that's also something she changed a little bit, because the long or like normal was a little bit too long. For me, this is a little too long, and I have a long torso, but it's also fine. And I think if I washed it again and just didn't block it like at all length and maybe gave it back a little bit body volume, it would be like a more normal length. I made it using Capretta Superwash, which is a Knit Picks yarn in the colorway Hemlock Heather, and it is a fingering weight yarn. It's an 80-10-10, 80%. I think it's Superwash Merino. I didn't put that down here. 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. It's 230 yards for 50 grams, and then it's also held with a mohair, which is the black. Drops Kids Silk in color 02, which is black, also called black. I mean, they do have colors with the numbers. Anyway, it's 75% mohair, 25% silk, 230 yards for 50 grams also. So they like totally match up in yardage. I loved the effect of this. So Mollie's sample, which maybe I'll pop a picture up, her first one, was this like mushroomy color and black, and that like moody vibe, even though I started making this in, I didn't even put the date down, July, I think it must have been July I started making it, is still what I wanted. I wanted that moody, something I knew I'd really love for the fall, because it is, though it has a loose gauge, it is still a mohair, you know, sweater, and those are extra warm. Yeah, so I knew I would not wear it as a seasonal change, really as like a fully fall sweater or winter sweater, and so I wanted the moodiness. I love it. What else do I have to say? This is a size 5, which is an extra large. It is a 48.25 inch bust, which gives, the suggested ease is, oh, I didn't write that down for this one either. I think it's like a couple of inches, like it's not a lot. I'll put it here. And I used the pattern suggested needles, which were 5mm and 3mm for the ribbing, except for the sleeves were 5.5. It was just really like, I don't know, tension issue. Had sweaty hands. It was August. Who knows why? I am a big fan though. I think it's really cute. The fit in the body is nice. It's just too long, which again, isn't a huge deal. It does, you know, it does only have a little bit of ease on me. Like it's draping. It's just not, you know, boxy. Is it going to zoom in? There we go. Look at that stitch definition. Pretty. Okay. Yeah. So sleeves are cute, and you can even see like how open this gauge is. Like it is open. Like you can see my skin a little bit. I am wearing a tank top under this because, you know, mohair. It's not a high neck tank top, and really mohair sweaters and I get along fine. I am not allergic. I don't get any kind of like rash or real itch. It's just like that first, I don't know, couple of minutes when you put it on and you're like, ooh, this is like, I can feel it. Regardless of if you're allergic or not, like you can feel it when it first sits on. I think once you get warm, like once the sweater gets warmer and it just like, all those prickly bits will eventually just kind of lay flat, and then I can wear it all day and it's like not an issue. I feel like I can feel it on my arms more, just like around my wrist, because you're moving that piece of your body a lot. It doesn't bother me. I'm going to continue making mohair sweaters, which is good because I got mohair here. What I will say is Surrey is much better next to skin. I mean, it is. It's far superior in my opinion. I know people are allergic to alpaca, so obviously, sorry, doesn't apply to you. But it's like not this, it doesn't give the same exact effect, right? Like it is different. And so I think there are appropriate things like this. Having this really marled look is what I wanted. Though I am making the duotone, which we'll talk about in 2 weeks, maybe when I start, because it is a test knit, but I am doing the, I got ZZ Knits yarn, spoiler alert. So that'll be coming fast because it's for a test knit. So she's dyeing all of that like at the very beginning of her color collection orders. I think she's like starting color collection in tandem with these dyes. She'll get them to us so we can start. But it's this collaboration with her and Rachel Costello. And I think a lot of people in that test knit, there's probably like a good mix. There are people doing it with mohair, which is what the pattern picture looks like, and then there are people like me who I'm like, I'm gonna do a Surrey anyway, even though I know it's not going to be exactly the same kind of glow. My colors are pretty different and they have different tones, so I think you'll still see that like marled look. That's a future thing anyway. I'm just talking about fuzzy sweaters. I'm not over the fuzzy sweater. I still want lots of fuzzy sweaters. I really don't have many. I think this is like my first mohair sweater that I've made. And I don't have a Surrey sweater of my own that's done yet. So we're going to see. I do know like wearing Surrey cows and other things. Like I do know I like that feel better, but, let's talk about some finished objects. So, I think you guys will not be surprised about this, but The Oolong is done. I'm glad about it. I feel like I've been so close for weeks, but I've just been like having a lot of other things to do and working on those and not finishing this because it's small, and I'm like, I'll get that really soon. Well, I just wanted it off the needles. And I actually really enjoyed all the finishing bits, so I want to talk through that. I want to talk through the pattern a little, and let's rave about this yarn for like a long time because it is incredible. So, here she is. She's gorgeous. We love it. Okay. I mean, look at that lace panel. Look how much it opened up. It's beautiful. And you can see like all of that like marbly look just from the linen and the yarn. I love it. Okay. So really quick, some details, and then let's talk through the finer points of the pattern. So this is, open up the details. Okay, so this is the Oolong Tank by Aimee Sher, who is Aimee Sher Makes on Instagram and YouTube. It is not due until the end of November, so I'm way ahead of schedule, but I'm going to send this out to Paisley like tomorrow, hopefully. Maybe even today. We'll see if I can get back out to UPS because I just sent a bunch of packages this week. But I can do it. It is a bottom up lace front V-neck tank top, as you just saw. It is size 3. There's no bust shaping in this pattern, though in this make, but there's lots of bust shaping options in the pattern, which is a thing I love about Aimee Sher patterns. This one is a 39.25 bust. The recommended ease is 1 to 2 inches at your upper bust. I use the recommended needle size, which is 3.5 millimeters for the body, 3 millimeters for the ribbing, and the yarn. So this is a sample for Horizon Fibers. Horizon Fibers is run by the very lovely Paisley up in Calgary. So not super far from me, but you know, she's Canadian dyer. And this particular yarn is, I think, probably her most special yarn. She's got some other really nice bases. They're all named after clouds, which I really love, cloud types. This one is called Stratus fingering, and it is 50% alpaca, 25% linen, and 25% silk. The 25% linen is a pretty high linen count, and that's why there's all this gorgeous, you know, tan bits in there. You can even see from the side a little bit. There's almost like a tiny bit of a halo, and some of that is just the linen like poking out, and some of it is the alpaca, because alpaca also tends to have a little bit of a halo naturally. It's gorgeous. This color is called Redhead, and it's like, seriously, I can't say enough. I mean, yes, it's a sample. Yes, I'm getting paid to make it. No, I'm not getting paid extra to talk about it on the podcast. I could do no talking about it, send it back to her, and I'd still get paid the same amount. But I really had a good time working with it. Paisley is also a very small dyer. I didn't realize how small her Instagram following is just because I've been following her for a while. So she's a small dyer. She's got some really great tonals. She does have also good variegateds and other things, but I'm like in a tonal kick right now. Like tonals that have a little bit extra depth. Like the thing you can't get from commercial dyed yarn is usually just like when it's a semi-solid, you know, it's like got a little bit extra going on. I love that. It's so fun to knit with. And then I think those pieces sometimes feel a little more versatile in your wardrobe, right? Because you can layer them. They don't scream as much that I'm a hand-dyed yarn and you'll remember me. So next time I wear this, you'll remember I just wore this. I do have many green things in my closet right now, though, and so I think my coworkers just think that's the only color I wear because that's what I put them on to do meetings. Anyway, so love the yarn. I mean, like, this drape is kind of incredible. Like, it's so pretty. Okay, so let's talk about the pattern a little bit. It's worked bottom up in the round. You guys saw all of this bits. Once you start the sleeve separation in the body, which this goes like really fast, actually. It's not that many repeats of the chart, like 5 or 6, maybe. It's not a lot. And most sizes are probably similar-ish. Like you can obviously add length, but this is a cropped tank. And once you split though, like it's not a lot of rows before you like just a few armhole shaping rows before you start the split at the neck. And then all you're doing is your lace repeat as normal with decreases both right next to the chart and at the edge. And then you do the back with just a little bit of shaping, which went pretty fast actually. And there are some short rows. You can actually see them when you look here. There's some short rows that go across this bit here, both in the front and the back, to give you that sort of like, you know, this is the natural shape that you want, because everybody's shoulders have a little bit of a slope. So you can add more short rows if you need, like if you tend to be a person that has a little bit more trap, I think that's what this muscle is here, when you have a little more of the neck muscle, then you could certainly add a little bit. You could make your first short rows a little bit wider and add a little bit more in. They were not that hard to do in the lace. I do understand, like you could, it's because of the way they sit, you know, they're going to sit right on your shoulder, but this is part of the short row. Like you could do that purely as like stop the lace chart and just do your short rows. That's part of the option in the pattern. I don't think you would notice it. Like now with it bound off, I really don't think you'd notice. Okay, cute. Anyway, and then it's just an I-cord bind off, or I-cord neckline, and some cute little cuff ribbing sleeves. It is a, just like the bottom hem, it is a half twisted rib. And I think it's just like, it's just so fun. So you wet block before you do the I-cord, which really you kind of have to, because everything's curling like crazy before. And then you do, you know, in either order. I did the I-cord first. Then I did the sleeves because I just wanted, or I don't even know, armholes. Then I did the armholes. Yeah, overall, like I think it's the cutest thing. I'm so excited to get this out to Paisley so she can put it up for some of her end of year shows and get some people to get like excited about this yarn base and like wanting to make this exact tank top, because we talked about this. How do you wear this? Well, Aimee Sher keeps wearing hers in so many different ways, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm inspired to do this. I have a lot of V-neck t-shirts. That's the one way that she wears it, just like over her t-shirts. I've seen her wear it on over top of a turtleneck. I also do think, yes, this is very open lace panel. You can't, me personally, would not just wear a bra and go about life. But I think I have enough tank tops, like for where this V-neck sits, that I could wear like a mimicking tank top line and just wear something underneath of it, like, and not feel that weird about that choice. It's undecided whether I'll do it, but I do think with my sample money, I'm going to buy some of this yarn, because her other bases, again, are really nice bases, but like I can get those at other dyers, and I can't get this one. I don't know anyone else who has this exact makeup of yarn. So I feel like I want to get it for at least a summer top. I don't know what summer top. I'll probably make that plan before I purchase. But this guy is going out the door. So Oolong finished. I have another sample done. No, it's not the Phaedra. God, I wish. That's not even fair, because the Phaedra is actually really fun to make. I love that yarn. I'm just, we'll talk about it in a second. Okay. This is a completed Manhattan hat. I think I said I was going to finish it this week, and I obviously did, because here it is done. It is steam blocked. Oh, that's what I was going to say, is I wet blocked the body of the Oolong, and then I did not wet block it again. I didn't think it needed it. The drape was really nice. I just steam blocked it. And there were like a couple, because of this, the linen, I think, like I had one piece pinned weird when it was drying normally, like on the mats, and I steamed it out, and it just like, it came out right away, and it was like so great. So steamed, and now it's going to get shipped. And then this little buddy, I also just steam blocked this. I'm going to ask Tegan at La Mercerie if that's fine. You know, for the purposes of this hat, I think it's going to go on like a head mannequin, or just even lay on the shelf, and I don't think it needs to be wet blocked. I also don't think it's going to change the shape that much, because rib like this, even if you pin it out, it's not going to stay super open like this. You know, even if you pin it and dry it, it'll stay a little bit open. And the seam block did actually like open the brim a little bit, but it wants to suck back up. That's part of this. I'm going to put it on even though, you know, again, this is a sample. This is not my hat, but I have clean hair, so. How cute is it? Okay, so Taryn, who watches the podcast, posted that she had a skein of this and didn't know what to do with it. And so now this is what she's going to make. And I hope that she loves making it because A, these little pops of color are so fun. But B, like, it's so unexpected to like be in this gray. I don't know if Taryn's color is gray or not, but it's like so fun in this. One of the other Cori confetti colors is red, and that is one that also I think would look amazing in this hat because I don't think I'd want an entire sweater in that. I don't know, maybe it's kind of fun, but like these little pops and that would be really fun and totally match my winter wardrobe. Let's give you some details real fast. So this is the Manhattan hat. This is by Tori Yu, as many of my makes have been lately, who is Tori Knits NYC on Instagram. It is a sample for La Mercerie on Bainbridge Island. If, you know, I don't know. I suppose some of you don't know who that is, but La Mercerie is a yarn shop on Bainbridge Island. They also now sell spinning wheels and fiber. That is not on their website. They do have an online shop, but their online shop is pretty limited. I think they're harder to stock things they don't necessarily put online, which includes, like I showed you, the fiber spates, Cumulus, alpaca, or Surrey alpaca, commercial dyed balls they have. That's not online. Their spinning wheels aren't online. Fiber's not online. There are a couple of other things like, you know, we saw in the store that I was like, oh, I didn't see this online. They definitely have a lot of their inventory online, so shop that. But Bainbridge Island is really cute. It's a ferry ride away from Seattle. So we drove on the last time we were there. I did pick this up when I was in store. That's where we did our spinning class with Maya. And also Jess from La Mercerie is the one that put on Flock this year here in Seattle, which was the big yarn show in August. Emily, who is in my knitting group, also was working at La Mercerie before she went on her world travels, which she is now at Rhinebeck. I guess they're there today, right? I think it is Friday, and it's Friday early in the morning, but like East Coast time, it's, I don't know, mid-morning, and they are, I guess all of them are already doing whatever Rhinebeck things happen. I have never been. I don't know all the lingo. I know there's Woolen Folk and there's like all these other things that happen that weekend, but whatever's happening on Friday, I'm sure everybody's there. Maya went out to meet Emily and they are going to do some fiber shopping. So I'm really excited because I know that's a bigger part of Rhinebeck than it was like at Flock. There were definitely fiber vendors at Flock. I think that will be a bigger thing this year now that Just has wheels in the shop and she can bring them to the show. And there was also Northwest Yarns, which we'll talk about more in a little bit, was also at Flock. And yeah, so I expect that'll continue to grow and be like the West Coast equivalent, because it's not easy for all of us to travel all the way out to like the middle of nowhere, New York. I know that, having gone to college up there. But anyway, let's see what else. This is an adult large. I used the recommended 3.75 millimeter needles. This is La Bien-Aimée Cori Confetti, like I said, in Graybow. Rainbow, but gray. It is 50% Falkland Corriedale, 30% natural recycled fibers, and 20% La Bien-Aimée recycled threads. That's all like the pops of color, I believe. And it's 250 yards for 100 grams. So it's called, I mean, like it's in their worsted line. That's also, I think, the weight of the worsted yarn. I'd call that more of a DK, but I think the nature of this fiber is that like it blooms a little and it is thick enough to be considered worsted. So that's all for the FOs this week. I'm super excited about both of them being done. 2 samples going out my door. I only have 1 left on my needles, and then 1 test knit. 1 test knit coming. 1 test knit I really need to cast on that I'm like a week late for now. My bad. We'll talk about that one too. Okay. Sorry for that real close-up of my face. All right, so let's talk about the ashling. As we always start our whips now with the ashling. But it's my only test that's on my needles right now. Again, that's not a good thing necessarily. I need to get my life together. But it is what it is. So I'm a little tangled here. Let me find out what's going on. Okay. I don't have any yarn connected because I just finished the back. So here is my beautiful ashling. This is a design by Maddy Mo, who is Momer01 on Instagram. It is a test due mid-November, so I really need to get cracking on this, and also just because I want it to be done, I want to wear it. I feel like this is kind of the right season right now to wear it. But I forgot another ball of yarn going to Yarn Weekend. I have very little left on the first one. I'm gonna connect a fresh ball for the front so I don't have any loose threads like right in the bust, and I'll use this little itty bitty thing to start a sleeve or something that's left over. Anyway, the back is done. So this is a reminder for everybody: a bottom up split hem, high low hem, also drop shoulder crew neck sweater that is made with a single strand of Surrey alpaca lace, like a lace weight, and it's gorgeous and it's floaty and it's so nice and dreamy and I love it. I'm making a size 5, which is 48-inch bust. The recommended ease is 3 to 8 inches, positive 3 to 8 inches. I'm doing a little less than that. That's okay for me. That's what I want to do. There's incredible drape on this, and it's very hard to tell if I'm like exactly on gauge. I feel like I'm pretty on gauge. Like, it doesn't feel like it's too big or whatever. I am using the recommended needle size, which is 3.5 for the body, 3.5 millimeters for the body, 3.25 millimeters for the ribbing. It is made all in Back Loop Yarn Co.'s Surrey lace in a custom colorway that she dyed just for me. We'll call it Megan's Periwinkle. Anyway, it is 74% baby Surrey alpaca, 26% silk, 328 yards for 50 grams. And yeah, the back is done. So you can't like tell because it makes it like droop a lot, but so I'm just gonna go in today, and it's already, you know, the front's already on my needles because I had them on needles waiting, and I'm going to go in and start that with a new ball of yarn. It's not a lot different than the back, I think, for pattern. You are obviously picking up and then you're doing like the sleeve, the equivalent armhole shaping. That's a lot of hair here. Armhole shaping here, and then you are kind of just knitting flat, but not as long because the crew neck dips like a good amount. And then you're doing, you know, short rows or whatever to get to some shaping, short row shaping here maybe, and then you're also just building the front panels. So the back had 2 sets of short rows, which I really liked for this pattern. It had short rows for like the middle back, and then it had continuing those short rows across like so different shaped, no, same shape but like a big hump and then 2 little ones to give you kind of those, yeah, that same nice little look that was in the Oolong, where you get that little slope here to help lower the front. That is one thing I want to talk to. I need to give my notes in to Maddy about that part of the pattern. It's written fine. I think it's written easy to follow, that piece, but the explanation of it is confusing because it's just saying you're raising part of it to lower something, which I think most people think about it to lower your front. Not necessarily, you're not lowering anything else in the back. But anyway, I digress. I'm loving it. And I should be done soonish. I need to be done soonish. We're in the last part of October. We still have, you know, a full week of the month left, plus a couple days. So I'm not panicked about anything. This is due November 12th. It is like the next thing with a due date, like actually due. I guess other than my socks, which socks are a self-imposed deadline to get entered to the raffle, which doesn't really matter. But that's the thing too. Which I did cast those on, so we'll talk about them in a second. Another thing with a due date is the Phaedra. So I did definitely make progress on this, though I wanted to knit a little bit more on it this week, but I had a headache last night, and the charted knit, like kind of late, I could not wrap my mind around. I did some flat knitting instead. So you can now see so much of the chart, and it is so beautiful as the repeats go up. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's so pretty in this color that, I mean, the pattern pops so well on this like light color. All these baby baubles. My trick for working through the chart right now without getting like overwhelmed has been to do one set of baubles. Either I end right near a bauble and then I start the next knit, which is what I did for myself this time, at a bauble, and then knit some rows. I don't always do 2 bauble rows in once, and they're like 6 or 7 rows apart. So I just like, when I sit down, I just try to do like 6 rows at a time. I'm actually really, really close to splitting sleeves. I think I need like 11 3/4 inches, and this is like 10 and a little bit. So I'm very close. I've got just like maybe, I might finish like the chart I'm on right now, like that part of the chart, and then I will be done before I split for sleeves. And then I think it goes front, then back, which is just the dot pattern. Oh, sorry. Reminder, this is the Phaedra by Audrey Borrego, who is Yarn Flakes on Instagram and YouTube. This is a sample knit for Erin at Backloop Yarn Co. It is due November 17th. I'm also still fine on this deadline. This is a size 2, 43 1/4 inch bust. Recommended ease is 7.75 inches. It's made with Backloop Yarn Co. in basic sock and Surrey lace in the colorway Ghouls, which is part of her Burr months collection, which is out now on her website. It is so the basic sock is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards for 100 grams, and the Surrey lace is 74% baby Surrey alpaca, 26% silk, 328 yards for in 50 grams. Okay, what else do I have to say about this? Oh, so let's look at it again. You guys see, I'm always like stopping right at the lace chart, so like an awkward way to hold it. But this is also a bottom up sweater. It also has a split hem, and it also has a high-low hem. So many things in common with the ashling, but so very different patterns. But you know, those little elements. This is a much shorter rib. Obviously, this is a much denser sweater. Obviously, there's a lot of this going on. But it is kind of fun that those things are mimicking each other right now in my cast-on life. It does have this cable and bobble front panel, which these two are the same, right? So in the chart, it's just this, and then you repeat this part for here. And then it's got this all over dot motif, which is actually visible. It's really visible in real life. You can see it there. It does kind of look like dots from far away. Like it just has this sort of interrupted fuzziness happening. Anyway, I am loving it. I don't remember if I said this last week, but I said at some point, like, this is the combo I'll get with my like sample yarn that's what I'm getting paid with yarn for this one. Too, so I will purchase some yarn from her in addition for a sweater quantity for me. But I think I want this combo because this color is gorgeous, but I couldn't remember what pattern I wanted. I remembered what I'm gonna make though. I just bought the pattern by Starry Nordland, which is Wood Anemone. I'll put a picture of it up here. She made it in this like gorgeous royal blue color, and it's got a similar vibe to let me look at it again. Yeah, it has a similar vibe to the Whitmore, but they're like off-centered kind of flower petal thingies. It does have a little bit more of an open gauge, and I am going to do it with this Surrey, like this combo Surrey and fingering yarn, and I'm very excited. I did send off Sarah's sweater, and I'm really excited for her to receive it. And I kind of was thinking, like, I don't have yarn for it yet, but I'm going to make a plan for like maybe next fall making one for me. And I think I'm going to do it out of like a really like navy or slate color, because I think you obviously would see a little bit less of it because in that lace pattern, there's so many like just big sweeps of those V's, I think you would still be able to see it. And there's not much going on except for a ridge line in the middle, right? There's a little bit more going on, I think, in this, like the way that she has like some little spokes. Anyway, this is, I think, going to be a perfect yarn for that. That is all. That's just future plans for you to know that may potentially happen. That's all. That's all for that. Okay, so Phaedra done. Let's talk about the superlative, which I moved to a different bag because it has grown. I have a lot of balls of yarn I had attached this, so give me 1 second. This is my superlative. I did not get as much done on this as I had wanted to during the yarn weekend, partly because, as I will tell you, for the yarn weekend, we had like quite an agenda and we got a lot of other things done. Slash, I did bring a bajillion a bajillion projects to work on because that's what I do. And I did work on all of them a little bit. So, here is my superlative. It's so gorgeous. I can't wait to wear it. I need to get cracking because I want to wear it and I think everybody else is a little further along and I'm going to catch up. This, I'm also making a bigger size than everybody. Not that that's anything. I'm always making the bigger size, but it does take a lot of work. It's a lot of stitches, you guys. Let's not forget that. Kudos to me for getting even close to where they are. So I actually just added this like the other day because I don't think I had added many rows, and then I was like, oh, I forgot to put a tracker. Anyway, here is my little Hello Lavender book. It's a tiny book with a flower on it, and it's so cute. It's not zooming. There we go. And okay, so this is my superlative sweater by Samantha Guerin, who is Samantha Guerin Design on Instagram. It is a top down drop shoulder, relaxed fit boucle sweater. It does have, I think the recommendation, right, is like to do your, your collar, sleeve, cuffs, and hem all in a regular yarn, which like, for finishing, I feel like it'd be so annoying to do a sew and bind off or something with boucle. I don't even know how you do it. I got to think about that for other sweaters because I have at least one other boucle sweater planned and I need to like look at the finishings to see if that will drive me nuts. I can always change it, but whatever. I am making in a size 6, which is a 52-inch bust. The recommended ease is 4 to 8 inches. That gives me 7, or 7. That's math. That gives me 5, which is good. That's a good amount. I'm using recommended needle size. I think everybody else in our group had a like size up or down, I think, that are making the boucle. Just, it is a really strange kind of thing. I might have said this last time, but I did my first gauge swatch, which someone gave me this recommendation is just, you just cast on, like you can't, it's very hard to tell, you know, exactly where you are inchwise, like in it. I tend to do gauge swatches and keep my stitches on the cord, and then I can count, like do 2 little pins at 0 and 4 inches, and then just count up what stitch that is and count on the cord. Makes it easier. You know, you're right. You aren't like missing any stitches that way. Anyway, somebody else said just like cast on what you're going to cast on, knit all of it, measure the entire thing, and then just do some math. I think that would work too, especially if you're doing like a wet block and you like, that's going to be really hard for you to read after. Holding up to sunlight is also helpful for boucle because at a gauge like this, like there is, you can see. It's just harder because there's lots of little twirlies on each strand. Anyway, I though did my first gauge swatch with wooden needles and it was so far off, like so much bigger. And I was like, wait, bae. But then I decided also the way that this yarn was moving on the wooden needles, I was pretty annoyed by. So I decided I would do, even though I said this last time, I don't really love to use the Chow Goose for the whole body when the body gets heavy, because it kind of makes my hand hurt sometimes, because I'm only using like the 3-inch needles. I should probably get like the regular size Chow Goose, but you know, it's expensive. Anyway, and I have so many interchangeable needle sets. Almost all of them are knit picks. And I love the knit picks ones. It's just for this particular yarn, it's not as enjoyable. Regardless, I did another gauge swatch with the same needle size with the Chow Goose just to see if that would change it. And holy heck, did it change it. Now I was like dead on for gauge. And I was like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do then. And I'm not going to change needles because this is the only ones that are getting me gauge. So, I'm using 3.75 millimeters for the body. All that to say that. Anyway, and 3 millimeter needles for the ribbing whenever I get to it. I am using Explorer Knits and Fibers, Boucle DK, and then for the cuffs, etc. All the ribbing will be in Rockies DK, both in the color To the Stars Who Listen, which is a collab color with Red Door Fiber Studio for her Akatar collection. And I love Akatar, so. This is Boucle DK. Both of them are 100% superwash merino. The Boucle is 240 yards for 100 grams. The Rockies DK is that slightly thinner, 274 yards for 100 grams. So, what have I done? So I did do that, and then I picked up a sleeve, and I did the majority of like the first part before you keep like a bit of the sleeve wide, and then you decrease and then do your cuff. I want to pick up the other sleeve, but I actually didn't think picking up was very difficult. I didn't have a hard time doing it on the sleeve because I thought that the stitches were pretty open here, like going up. And so I'll probably just finish the sleeve and then switch to the other one. I've taken some good notes for myself on like how long this is, how many rows this is, so I don't have to like think too hard for the next one. But the decreases, I'll just do 2 patterns so I won't mess it up as soon as I get there. But I did add a few inches to the body, and I am excited to, you know, get trucking on this a little bit more this weekend. What's next? My leaf. Guys, the leaf. I did make progress on that. I brought this weekend too, and I had kind of a nice time knitting on this at the table with everybody. I put a progress keeper on. Here's where I was last week. And this one is so cute. I put it on when we went up, and it's a little heart inside of Washington. That's the shape of our state. So cute. So I was just about finished this 3rd stripe here, and now I have finished 2 more. I just need to switch colors, which I did not do yesterday. And I measured this, and I am, you know, not super far from, like, it's right under my bust right now where I would want it to hit my hip. And so I think I looked, and I have like 1.5 inches or so more. So it's like it's a whole other stripe and maybe a little bit, something like that. So and then I will be splitting for sleeves, etc. So we'll see when I do some real measurements later today to figure out where I have to go. As a reminder, this is a Leith cardigan by Rebecca Clow, who is the Crayabea on Instagram and YouTube. I am making a size 5, which is 49.25 inch bust. It is a recommended ease of positive 1 to 4 inches. So I'm perfectly within range there. I thought that would be a good amount of drape. Also, I'm probably going to wear other things under this, right? So I don't want it to be like too tight to me. It is a bottom up drop shoulder V neck cardigan with a sewn on button band. And I am using 4 millimeter needles for the body, 3.7 millimeter needles for the ribbing, which is recommended size. It is Sorella Yarns Classic Worsted. In 3 different colors, 2 from a holiday collection that was at least 1 year, if not a couple years old, and then 1 from Downton Abbey. So it's Mrs. Patmore's Kitchen. That is this beautiful speckly color. And then this one is called Magic, and this one over here is called Warm Glow. And it's like the pattern, itself can be done any way. Like, it's really just a pattern for a cardigan that's plain, essentially. But she gives you the middle line number of stitches for, and I haven't done any of my sewing yet, so that's why you can see all the corner bloops. But she gives you like the stitch count for the middle line if you want to do intarsia. There are ideas and lots of patterns in like the project pages that do this kind of wide band stripe intarsia. She has samples that look different, and the point is that these are offset, so when you get to your button man and etc., there will be like they will actually look just like offset from the front too. And then I'm gonna do something for the sleeves, which is to be determined. It depends on how much yarn I have left. I'm actually thinking I won't have that much yarn left, so I might just do the cuffs like I was talking about in the first planning episode. So the last thing I have on my needles is a new cast on. That's all my sweaters. Can you guys believe that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sweaters only? I had like 7 sweaters on my needles at one point, so 4 feels more manageable. Though I'm getting a little fatigue from like really from the ashling, I think, only because I decided to cast it on early when I got into the test knit, and it's a long test period, and I've just been working on it slowly since then, and I think I need to power through a little bit more. Like, I don't want, it feels like a lingering project even though I'm working on it every week. It's just personal feelings about it, right? So I cast on some socks. This looks like really small, but these are size large and they'll fit my mom. I'm making socks for my mother out of my October colorway. It's her birth month also, so here's some celebration birthday socks for her, and also because I have socks almost this exact same color from the Farmers Daughter Fibers sock squad this year in the same base, and I just didn't want to have another blue sock right now. And these are in the base. Okay, let's talk about the sock first. These are the Miel sock by Melissa West, who is Fox Fig on Instagram. Her patterns are like the Fox and Fig knits, I think is like the pattern, but she has like some pretty great patterns out there. This was my first ever sock, was the Miel that I ever made. I have not gone back and repeated a sock pattern yet, and I'm going to do it for this. Partly because I did the shorties when I tested the pattern, because that felt like manageable, and it was. But I had contrasting cuff, heel, and toe, and I think for these I may do just a contrasting toe, but I'm doing the classic pattern, which is the taller mid calf, and my mom and I talked about like the number of inches. I won't do quite as much as like a traditional mid calf, but she does want a little bit of height on her socks to stay up. And so this pattern is like an all over texture front, and the back is got a little texture too, I think, for the cuff. But yeah, anyway, I'll put a picture up. I don't even know what that texture is called. It's just got like some texture on it. They're really nice socks, and maybe the look is supposed to be like kind of honeycomb, because I think miel means honey. Anyway, I really loved making them the first time, even though it was my first sock and I was so scared to do it. Like, once you get going, it's not scary. I'm making a size large, which is 72 stitches. It should fit my mom fine. I'm using the recommended needle size of 2.25. I don't know what the recommended yarn is, but it just says fingering weight yarn, right? This is Farmer's Daughter Fibers Pintler sock in the colorway Long Nosed Bat, which is the October colorway. It is, I mean, you can see it here. We've seen this color together, but in case you forget, it's this beautiful blue, which really does kind of ghost out grayer on video. It is a pretty, like, it's blue when you see it. And it has some brown speckles in it for this one. It is 75% wool, 25% nylon, 463 yards for 100 grams, and it is a 4-ply. It is the only 4-ply that's been in rotation this year. I like a 4-ply sock. I think I like a 2-ply better, personally. that's what I have to say about it. So far, not a lot of progress. I think I will be doing the Charlotte method, and I'll be doing 2 at a time so I don't get like one real small sock. Also, because the blue yarn I use, the Pintler, is the one that had the real small sock. Made with the same size needles, you guys. It just 1.5 weeks apart and totally different size socks. Anyway, I have until the 7th to get those done to be able to post them. I have not missed a month yet. I'm going strong into the last quarter. I will do it in time. So I'm gonna get cracking on those this weekend. But again, a single, also like not having to mess with other colors and sewing in ends, it just makes it nice for like a single color sock. So really that's what I might do. Okay. Those are all my whips. Can you believe it? Not so many. 5 or something. Gosh. It's really not something I should congratulate myself on. Okay, let's talk really quick about the DAF days. I just caked up on my yarn, so I'll take a better picture of them, or maybe I'll just put it in the picture I took last night. So I could remember the color order, but I'm still debating. And you guys aren't going to help on this because I'm going to really start today. But I think I'm going to go from light to dark because I think I want the dark being the dark swoop on the outside. I was contemplating making this for my mom, which I still may give it to her. She'd probably prefer the light on the outside, but I think like for the sake of like keeping it clean, etc. And she's not a makeup wearer, so having that like V close to her face, like she's never going to get makeup on it or anything. I still think that's the smart way to do it. Anyway, maybe I'll ask her. She can have the opinion. But it is the DAF Day shawl is a test knit for Rebecca Clow, who is the Créabe, and it is a triangle shaped shawl that has increases both like at the middle and at the ends evenly, and it's got like a slip stitch pattern. It's very cute. It's in testing right now. Obviously, and I haven't started. It's due also mid-November, so I do need to get cracking on it because I think you can get like 3/4 of a shawl super fast, and then that last quarter is hard. It's a lot of stitches. But I will say, I don't know why it feels so different. I mean, there's a lot of purling in this, right? Because you're just like purling back rows. But I don't know why it feels so different because I do bodies in fingering weight yarn for a larger body. It's like often 400 stitches, and that feels like you're never making progress, but I still feel more motivated than making a shawl. I don't make a lot of shawls because I don't tend to wear them, which is also why I might give this to my mom. I don't have though for myself a fingering weight shawl, and I made that Copperton shawl as a sample earlier this year for Yarnaceous, and I love the drape of it. And I was like, maybe I would be more into something like this that doesn't. Here in the Pacific Northwest, it certainly snows now. I really shouldn't say it never snows here. It doesn't snow often, like once a year, but it does get cold, but we don't have bitterly cold for a long period of time. So this is not Minnesota, right? Where people need those like super bulky, cows made out of Rasta, super bulky to keep like any amount of warmth in. Like it does not get that cold. We hover around freezing, for a lot of the year or a lot of the winter. And so doing a fingering weight shawl is like just enough warmth, I think. And I would like it. So these colors are like half me, half my mom. There's a whole moody set at the end, which is what I really like. My mom is a little bit more of like an orange and lights kind of person. I'm gonna talk to her about it. If she thinks that she would wear it and she wants it, then I'll make it for her. If she does not, then I'll make it for me. And then I will do this light to dark. What I need to figure out is Rebecca talked about it in a podcast, the gradation, doing no main color, like how she did the stripes. I don't think it was just a stripe. I think it was like, a switching back and forth, like for one of the little pattern repeats. Anyway, we'll see. I will get into that. Okay, let's talk about other things. I'm going to do acquisitions later because I want to talk about the trip, and maybe I'll do acquisitions like during the trip a little bit. I don't know. So as many or / all of you know, we did a like knitting trip away last weekend to Bellingham, the knitting group that I'm in, which is a group of friends who knit together once a week. And we had planned this months ago. I brought it up at like a knit night and I was like, wouldn't it be fun if we went away? Originally, we were going to go to Whidbey Island, which is also close to us in Washington, just north of here, because there is this really cool yarn shop that is also a speakeasy at night. And so that's so fun. And I think it would be really great to go still. But just to go for that, I mean, that would have been fine. But as spinning became more of a thing that we all were, not all, but many of us became interested in, there is this great yarn shop up in Bellingham called Northwest Yarns. And it is awesome. They took over, so I had not been before, but they took over another space. I think there was a cafe there. And so they are now expanded from what they were a couple of years ago. It is, there is a spinning room upstairs. There's also a weaving space, like a whole loom room, that's fun. But yeah, it like super great. There's some fabrics there. They've got lots of yarn. They do have a lot of this yarn brand, which I didn't buy any. We'll talk about my yarn purchases and why I didn't buy much yarn this weekend. But they do have a brand there called Leviathan Yarns. Leviathan Fibers. I'm not sure, one of those two. Anyway, and that's at local Bellingham dyer. I don't know if it's like their in-house dyer. I don't know if you can get it anywhere else. I have seen the yarn before, like maybe it was just on Instagram or something, but pretty, lots of variegated colors. All of it non-superwash ? I think so. At least all the labels were just, it just said like 100% BFL, no superwash indicated, so I would take that as a non-superwash base. Anyway, so it's a very cute yarn shop. I will show a picture that we took. It was very fun. So what did we do? We got in the car on Friday mid-morning, and we went up to Mount Vernon, which is kind of halfway. Honestly, Bellingham is not far from Seattle. It's far if there's a lot of traffic, which we do have lots of traffic much of the day, but not in the mid-morning. We could have just gotten there in like 90 minutes or a little bit more, but we decided to like have lunch partway. Also because we left from two different houses and like did not meet up before, so we weren't really caravanning. And so we met up in Mount Vernon. We had lunch at this very cute little cafe, and the gals behind the counter were asking what we were doing for the weekend, and we told them, and they said that's so fun, and gave us food suggestions, which are the two places that we did go out to eat this weekend and last weekend. And they were perfect. They were the best spots for us. So after lunch, we went up to Bellingham. We went straight to Northwest Yarns and went straight to the spinning room and asked like a bunch of questions and got to try a couple of wheels. We tried an Ashford. We looked at some Maja Craft. We looked at some Luettes, and we also tried the Shocked Ladybug. We also looked at a Shocked Matchless. That was a one treadle. And yeah, we just overall like, there's a big fiber room up there too. So we like looked at some fiber, and Ariel did purchase her Ladybug. She thought that that's what she wanted going in. She was proven right while she was there, and that's what she purchased. We put it right in the car. It was the one on the floor was the built one that was in store. There's only one in store. And so we got to take it back to the Airbnb. We went to our Airbnb, which was gorgeous. And kind of like, I think we sat around and knit for like 30 minutes and then went right back out to dinner. Just if we weren't going to do it then, we were never going to get out the door again. So we took our knitting with us, thankfully, because we had a little bit of wait at this restaurant called the Black Cat, and it was so cute. And the vibe was great inside. It's too dark for us to knit at the table, but we ate all the appetizers. We just had a table of appetizers. So it was like having girl dinner out, and it was perfect. It's what everybody wanted. And so, yeah, that was super fun. We had the best time. Okay. Saturday, and then we came back to the house, and everyone's pretty tired, and we knit a little bit, but honestly, we did not knit as much this weekend as I think, like, everyone's like, oh yeah, a whole weekend of knitting. Like, it was friend time. I mean, I wouldn't have traded any of that friend time doing other things and like having adventures that we did just to knit, because it was really fun and like really filled my cup. But on Saturday, we got up and we did brunch kind of early, which I'm glad we did. We went to a place called Birch Door, which has sister restaurants. And I have been to the other one, which is in Silverdale. There's one other, and I can't remember where it is, but it's called Maple Counter. Anyway, they're very, isn't that cute? Just like furniture names. Anyway, they have some amazing food, amazing brunch food. So if you're ever in Bellingham or in Silverdale or wherever Maple Counter is, go hit them up. So yum. And they have this great coffee called the Viennese. I'll put a picture here because I got everybody to get this Viennese, which Viennese you can get other places too. It's usually like a little bit of vanilla and cinnamon in your coffee, but they make homemade whipped cream they put on top, and it's so good. And then what else did we do? We went to Spin Cycle because we didn't go on Friday. Like, no one even thought to go on Friday. We were like very on the Northwest Yarns train. And then, so we did Spin Cycle on Saturday, which is where I made, I will do this part of the purchase. This is the only yarn I bought all weekend. And it's not even Spin Cycle. And it's exactly the color I'm wearing. This gorgeous Moondrake yarn is what I bought. Actually, and I'll put a picture in a second of, hold please, because I want to talk about this. Then I'll talk about how I'm going to do pictures because I want to share some things. I'll share some of these other things throughout, but I've got a bunch of like really fun pictures I want to just put up like in a little montage in a minute. But these are, Fua Fua, which is, an amazing yarn base. Okay, so it is 70% brushed cashmere, 30% superwash merino. Like, I mean, I know you guys, I wish you guys could just reach in the TV and feel this because I'm not kidding. Like, this is amazing. It's this super, there's already dog hair on here. Like, they've been in a bag since I got home. I can't do anything about it. She comes with the territory. Anyway, here's a strand for me to show you. It is a lightweight. I think it's like a lace weight. Where does it say? 315 yards for 50 grams. So really similar to like a Surrey, you know. But it's the softest. Like, I want to wear this all the time. It's so amazing. So I got the color Dark Spruce, which oddly enough looks like black plus Hemlock Heather. I mean, it would, you can hide it inside of the sweater. Anyway, I decided what I want to make with this. Do I share now? I'll share when I get the other part of the yarn because I don't have the other yarn I want for this project, which like, I got a lot of yarn. This is actually the base. I just like don't have a lot of the other base that will go with this is sport weight, and I don't have a lot of single color sport weight. But we got a lot of Fua Fua because it was the first, I mean, Moondrake was at, Flock, and Ariel bought some Fua Fua then. I felt it. I knew that it felt nice, but I didn't know what I would use it for. I'm going to replace Surrey in a project with this. Not that I don't also love Surrey, but it's like been an idea percolating and I couldn't find the perfect color, and this is the perfect color. And so it will replace a Surrey. That's all the yarn I bought though. The Leviathan yarns were nice. I think I've got a little bit of like, God, I can't believe I'm going to say this, yarn purchasing fatigue, just because I have a lot of outstanding yarn that I have bought recently from collections of dyers. So because those projects are already like in my mind, I have a queue overload, and I didn't want to add more things, and I didn't want to purchase indiscriminately, just like pretty color and get singles of things because I have lots of singles already. So you know what? I was responsible and I just didn't do it. And also, I will talk about this more next week, but I will, spoiler alert, have another yarn, incoming yarn to talk about. It is, we'll call it replacement yarn though. One of my viewers who reached out to me on Instagram and we started having chats, Bex, is actually in New Zealand, and she asked if I wanted to do a yarn swap, and I said, of course, but it also got that message during knit night, and everyone else was like, what, are you kidding, we want in. And so me, Katie, and Sylvan all put some yarn into a box, and Bex all by herself put yarn into a box, but she'll get equivalent number of skeins from us, all US dyers that we really enjoy, hand-dyed yarn, and we will get some New Zealand yarns from her, some commercial, some hand-dyed, but also like New Zealand yarns. Like, that's so exciting. Yes, obviously you can get some New Zealand yarn. We've got New Zealand merino or whatever, you know, wools here too. But such a fun way to refresh stash a little bit. So there were some things that they put in there that like I would have made into something, but I was glad to get them out of the door and get them to somebody who will definitely make something with them, hopefully. So we'll see what projects come up. Also, because I'm splitting the box with Sylvan and Katie, and I'm not exactly sure what's in there, and we do have overlapping likes of colors, we are going to open together. So I think the box will be here this morning actually, but I will not open it until all of us are at knit night together. So hopefully it'll be next week, and we will divvy up, but I'll take a picture of everything before we, you know, before we divvy up, and then I'll show you what's mine, what I brought home from it next week. Okay, that's just a little fun side note. But anyway, because of all of those things, I did not purchase much yarn. What else did we do? Oh, so the most part, not the most fun part of the week. Well, the most fun part of the weekend really was our Saturday afternoon and evening. So Saturday, after we went to Spin Cycle, we just went back to the house, and then everyone got pretty, and we took so many pictures. And I've got to tell you, I've never had so much fun taking pictures, like anywhere, like not even at my wedding, because I was stressed during that, even though we had an amazing photographer and she was super great. Just, you know, that was like a stressful day. This was like pure friend fun. So we all brought finished objects to take pictures of. And I hope right now editor Megan's just putting pictures on the screen, because you don't need to see me talk about it to like enjoy. So, okay. So we had, there were 5 of us that went, and like, I'll pop up pictures of everybody. I mean, I'll text them before and make sure they're okay to be pictured on here, but I'm sure they will be. But we took pictures of everybody's finished objects. Everybody looked amazing. There were funny pictures in there. We've got lots of bloopers. But we had Sylvan, who is the best hype woman ever. Just walking around doing what she called B-roll. So one person, she was like, look at Megan, you know, Megan's taking the pictures, but I'm taking B-roll. And she's just like behind, you know, squatting and getting side angles, which actually some of these pictures are the best ones, because we're not looking directly at the camera. And sometimes that like looks a little bit, you know, I don't know, like more fun. I don't know. Anyway, she was also making us laugh super hard, and just hyping us up. Like, you're so gorgeous. I love that. Keep doing it. It was so funny. Luckily the beach was pretty empty. There were a couple of people that were like walking by at one point during this photo shoot and really were not staring at us being wackos. So maybe that's something that happens a lot. I don't know. I want to do it again though. I want to just like save FO photos for, or like do extra FO photos for things to have Sylvan around, because it was so fun. So we got a lot of things pictured. Then we also took a group photo, which was like family photo style. Also a little bit like, I think we could be the next cover of Pom Pom magazine. Look at us. We're so cute. We did like the moody boy band version also, which maybe is the one I put up. I don't know. I haven't decided which pictures I'll share, but it was so fun. And then we just went inside and knit. We had girl dinner, which consisted of like pizza rolls and lots of cheese and charcuterie things and tater tots and candy. I mean, pretty much nothing better. Oh, and pie, because it's the fall. Why not, right? And we did a puzzle. The puzzle I brought, we actually did it, and we finished all 1,000 pieces. And luckily, like, Katie and Charlotte and I can totally get into puzzle mode. So it was super fun doing a puzzle with some friends. I haven't done one in forever, and I really love doing puzzles. I have many here in my house. And then Sunday we went out to breakfast on our way out. We did stop back in Northwest Yarns and chatted a little bit. We didn't have anything we needed to really purchase. Ariel needed to get oil for her wheel. And that's all for the weekend. I did make another purchase. Let me show something off really quick first. As I said, I didn't need any more yarn, but then here's 2 more balls of yarn. These actually came from Sylvan, lovely Sylvan. These were things we decided not to ship to Bex, but this is Woolberry Nook Book Club, which is like, come on, another most perfect tweedy color ever. I cannot wait to make this into a hat probably. This is 75% Superwash Merino, 15% NEP, 231 yards for 100 grams. Berry Tweed DK, sorry, didn't say the base name, in the color Book Club. And then this is a long dog that I just could not. I absolutely fell in love with this color so hard. Okay, partly because this teal is great, but I have a big teal sock weight yarn that I think I want to hold with this to do some really fun. Maybe this is what I'll do, a shawl for myself out of these, and give the other one to my mom, because I really want to make this into like, I think a shawl would be so perfect in this very fun color. And this is Bounce Sock, which is a base I think Brandy doesn't carry anymore. Like, she stopped carrying it this year. But it was like it was now she has something that replaces this, right? But it's 75% Superwash Merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards for 100 grams. So this is like really close to the Pintler. But like, look at those speckles. Look at that little teal. It looks really green right now on camera, but it looks really teal in real life. It's so cute. And the color's Ursula sock set. So that's fun. Okay. Let's show you one more purchase, which I actually should have shown you last week, or really the week before, because I bought it the first time I went to La Mercerie and I just forgot to show you. If you guys watch Emily Curtis's podcast, Gently Chaotic Knits, you would have seen this book already and seen her completed Moosh. So this is called Moosh and Friends by Cynthia Valet. I think I would say Valet. Anyway, Moosh and Friends. This little guy is Moosh, and then these are all his friends. This is not all of the animals that are in here. There's also a duck. But you can see here, like, oh my God, the cutest squad you ever saw. Why are they so cute? I can't even. Oh yeah, the squirrel's not on the front either. Anyway, it's just a bunch of little animals. And one of the things I really love about it, oh, the donkey's not up either, like Horatio. They all have names and like a little story. And that is the cutest thing ever. Like, it's so cute. So, like Horatio, like, likes long walks. I mean, like, he has a little story here. It's so cute. Anyway, one of the things that, the reasons I bought this is, like, I have a couple other more crocheted animals, and I wanted to knit an animal, and, like, I have pattern books for some crocheted animals, but I wanted to knit them. And also, this book over any other knit patterns I've seen has, like, they're seamless. So their only seam you have is like at their butt. So at the very end of it, and everything is just like short row shaping and like sleeve pickup essentially to make like arms and stuff. So because I feel really comfortable with those techniques now, I wanted to do it to make these little cuties. And I think my very first one I'm going to start with is Aggie, who is the sheep, because let me just show you a picture of her in all her glory. She is wearing essentially a boucle vest. I'm like, look at this ridiculous little cutie. So I want to make Aggie in her sheep vest. Okay, that's all. Anyway, that was at La Mercerie, and I knew it was there, and I was like, you know what? I think I really do need this, and I will make some things out of it. Theo's really too small to care about small animals, and she's like, because I am going to do safety eyes in them. She needs to be a little bit older to play with them. So I'm kind of thinking I'll try to make a couple over the next like year or so. And then when she's 2-ish, I'll just give her several at once. And then continue making all the little friends, because then I'm not on a timeline and she'll just get a new buddy to add to her collection. I feel like that would be fun. So I have one more big purchase. I'll be right back because I need to grab all the things. Okay, I know what you're thinking. I thought you said Ariel bought the only ladybug at Northwest Yarns, and you'd be correct. I did say that. But I got home and I was thinking more about which wheel I would want. And I decided I really need to either, like, I won't say the bad phrase for this, but I really need to make a decision. If I'm going to do it, I need to get a wheel soon, or I'll kind of lose interest. That was what I was sort of fearing, or it would just be like lusting for a long time, not making a decision. And that's another thing that might happen. So, you know, I went on Facebook Marketplace. I had looked earlier in the month after taking the first class. I think I was like, I wonder if there's any like secondhand wheels out there. I didn't really see any that were not like antique wheels, which if you watch any YouTube videos for buying your first wheel, that's like the #1 recommendation is don't get sucked into getting an antique wheel that you don't know how to care for. It's gonna be a lot harder to get parts for while you're starting. If you want to do it once you understand how wheels work better and you like can figure out the intricacies, do it. But like everybody says, don't do that for your first wheel because you'll just cause yourself frustration. So I just looked, I think like on OfferUp or something, and I didn't see any. When we got home, like right after we got home, I was like, you know, I'm just gonna look again to see, like I didn't look at Facebook Marketplace just to see if there's anything out there. And there was this beautiful ladybug. So this is a shocked ladybug. I have a little bit of Targhee on here, which I'm gonna switch the bobbin, and like I have a bag of Targhee that I got at Flock, if you remember. I am going to switch out the bobbin and maybe come back to that later. It's a little bit too short of staple length for me to do right now. I'm still a very beginner and I want to work with the Corriedale, I think. But I put this on last night while we were doing a little spin video Google, you know, hangout meet up. And I was getting a little frustrated because it's pretty slippy and it's pretty, it's a shorter staple length. So back to the wheel. I went on Facebook Marketplace and somebody was selling one in Tacoma, which is not very far from here. And she was super lovely, answered me right away, answered some questions about the wheel. She had gotten it and then like spun a little bit on it, but did more like drop spindling before. And just, she's moving and doesn't have space in her new place / doesn't have space to move it. And so decided to sell. I got a really good deal on it and I'm like very pumped to have this in my life. So here she is. She's nameless right now, so if you guys have any suggestions for this beautiful little ladybug, I'm gonna name her. I feel like, you know, she should have a name. Here is my little ladybug down here, hidden on the side. So cute. Every ladybug has a ladybug somewhere in like a different place. So mine is hidden over here on the left, behind the left treadle. There are a couple of reasons why, I mean, this was available, but I think I had already decided I wanted a ladybug, so it was very serendipitous. Partly because I liked the Kromsky Fantasia that we spun on. I thought it was really easy to use. The bobbin setup is freaking amazing. It's better than this, only in like the ease of use. It's got this magnetic flyer that you just pull out and then the bobbin just slides off and then you put another one on, you pull, and like there's zero other things you have to do other than doing the tension on that one, which means you don't have to F with your tension as much. This one you have to pull out the whole front maiden and like you have to unscrew things, and it doesn't take very long to switch. I mean, it's a little bit more cumbersome, but in all, like whatever, right? Part of the reason I wanted one though is Emily has one, Maya has one, Ariel has one, and not because I want to be in their group, but it's a lot, being a very, very new spinner, it's a lot more reassuring to have friends that have the same wheel, so that if something goes wrong, if I'm hearing a weird noise, if I need tensioning, you know, like advice, they've got the same setup. So they can actually tell me more things specific to my wheel, which I think is valuable. I also have heard really, really good things about Shock's customer care. The replacement parts are readily available. They also have, it's a little bit like, I was thinking also for future, if I ever decide I really love long draw or I want to try a Saxony wheel, they've like their bobbins are interchangeable. There's a lot of things that make it appealing. So I bought it. I'm very thrilled. The gal who sold it to me also was so sweet, and she gave me, I will show you a couple. She gave me some of her hand spun yarn, some of which was done on this wheel, and like that's so fun. These little itty bitty baby skeins. And I don't know what I'll do with them. She said she also just like didn't need them. She didn't want to move with them. And I think actually I'm gonna do a wall hanging that features some of this hand spun and some hand spun I got from a friend in Pennsylvania, one of my very dear friends who I grew up with. And she is drop spindling too. I think that's the only way she's been spinning. And she also gave me some merino. So things for me to practice on. Merino, very slippy, not something I'm gonna practice on right now. But I would like to, I've got all this Corriedale I got, whatever that was, last weekend, 2 weekends ago, from La Mercerie. And I think I'm going to trade out the bobbin, work on some Corriedale because that's got like a longer staple length, also a little bit stickier, and see how that goes. And then I'm not like really going to be ready to purchase any right now. I want to kind of work through what I have, because also that Ashford Corriedale was like not expensive, right? That's a good practice yarn. I don't need anything perfect to come from that. And I'll probably do a 2-ply situation where I can see my plies again, so I can see the color change. Or see each ply so I can see how the ply is going. This Targhee that I was doing also, because it was so slippy, I think I was just overspinning again, which I know a lot of people have the underspinning issue, but like I'm not having that problem. I'm like death gripping it all the way until it's like almost, pigtailing, and then I have some pigtails on the yarn. I think a little bit of it is like the tension is different on this too, and I have it right now. I was actually spinning on the larger whirl of which is like maybe the slow. So I think I maybe also need to up my tension so I can feel comfortable letting it go faster, or up my whirl speed. We'll see. I don't know that much about spinning, obviously, guys, but I have been watching some YouTube videos of spinners giving some tips about things. That has been helpful for me to stay interested over this last week while I didn't have a wheel, and then this week also figuring out things that I might like. So want to try on this. Okay, what else do I have to talk about? I forgot about books almost. So I read a few books, which is great, and I'm reading some more. So I finished the Golden Enclaves by Naomi Novik. So that was the end of the Scalaman series. It's just 3, and I was wholly satisfied with the 3rd book. I think sometimes authors don't know how to wrap up a trilogy. Like they have that idea where they want to do a trilogy and they want to have something, and a lot of times they're like, must end in tragedy. This one does not. Though it really could have gone that way, and honestly, I would have been satisfied, because I think the setup is equally dangerous either way. Like, just, it could have gone either way. And I like thought about it, like as it's coming up, I was like, I'd be sad, but I would still be satisfied with the ending if this went the way I thought it was going to go. And it did not. And it didn't in the way I thought that it would not either. Like, it was just very good. Sorry, that was very cryptic, but I don't want to give away the ending because it is so worthwhile of a read. So if you're into magical books, if you can stomach like a little bit more life-threatening situations, I don't know, I feel like they deal with it well. It's not a graphic description of anything. I say read these Scholomance books by Naomi Novik. And oh, I finished The Great Hunt. See, I did it. I actually really love the end of this one. I am ready for book 3, and I think I'm going to dive into it this week, knowing this will be like one I talk about for another month or so. It will definitely not be a fast finish, but they're so meaty and there's so much stuff that happens, and it's not just plot driven. There is character development, though there's still a bunch of dummies. I mean, this is not many months after the first book started and they were like a bunch of dummy farm kids, and now they're a bunch of dummy, not any longer farm kids going into world problems, but they're not ready for it. That's what I know. So that's the second in the Wheel of Time series, and I am reading that one on my own, as discussed. Mike is okay with it. He doesn't want me to spoil her. He said get a couple more books in before I decide if I really am tell him to catch up. Okay, so the other books I am reading, I started A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab, which is the second of the Shades of Magic book. The first one is A Darker Shade of Magic. I think this one is really interesting also. So another magical book, but it's like Londons that, like alternate universe Londons. I think it's probably the best way to describe it. Some are magical, some are less magical. Like our version of London exists as one of the non-magical Londons. And the two main characters from the last book are still present, but they're not in the same place doing the same things. And it's very interesting to see what the girl main character is doing in the new world that she moved into at the end of the second one. So it's been really a fun read. That one though was like one of the library books I got like dumped all at once, and this is the one that it went back to the library. So I'm on pause for reading it, but I was like about halfway done. And I think like the book version is available, but again, I'm like a really slow Kindle reader these days because I'm knitting and I am not slowing down to knit and read at the same time. Though I can, maybe I will do a little this weekend on some of these like just stocking it back and forth things. But anyway, and then I started, so after that went back to the library, I was like, oh, I have one more Audible book or audiobook from the library that was sitting there, and it's got a couple more days on it, so I had to jump on it, and that is called Wreck the Halls. It is a Christmas book, so it's like feels a little early. It's like walking to Costco and there's so much Christmas stuff, and it's like not Halloween yet. I'm not ready for it, but I wanted to read this because I had put it on my queue a while ago, and this is called Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey, and I love Tessa Bailey books. So I said this to one of the knit girls, and then she picked up a book I haven't read the series, and I think it was like one of her earlier books, and she was like, nah, I didn't really like it. I think the Tessa Bailey books, like sometimes they really do follow the romance formula, right? It's some sort of meet, a lot of times some sort of tension, they kind of get over it, get together, then some big drama, usually caused by miscommunication or some stupid prideful moment, and then big gesture to win them back. I sort of hate that that's the formula for all romance things. I get it. It keeps you engaged. You're like in it for that piece. It's why I think I like fantasy romance books so much, because usually something else is happening, right? Like sometimes it's not them that keeps them apart, which is nice, that it's not just like I'm being a dummy, either character. Tessa Bailey's though, usually that is the reason. This book I really like because the premise is that it's the kids of two women rock stars who used to be in a band and had a big breakup before the kids were born, and then the kids grew up never knowing each other, but they grew up in like with so much similarity, just like in the media share, and like always having this common thing, like their moms were in this band and they are not talented musicians, and they keep getting asked like, is the band gonna get back together, whatever. The premise is fun, and so the premise is that the boy main character pushes for the girl main character to, with him, do this reunion reality show where they try to get the moms to say yes to a reunion. There's ulterior motives and other things in there. It's pretty fun. The characters are like just, they're interesting and like, yeah, I just really like both of them a lot independently. It is spicy. I would give this like a 3 because the spice factor has a little bit of a twist. So, I mean, nothing like crazy. And yeah, so 3 peppers, but I'm really enjoying it and I'm almost done. So I'll be done with that one this weekend. Okay, I'm still reading the Evergreen Heir, which I love. This story is so great. Just like this really insecure introvert trying to help their kingdom. They're like the heir or whatever. And they have a they think unwilling fiance who's actually someone who they grew up with, and really he is trying to get into their good graces and like prove that he's there for them, just like really them, like nothing else, not like for being a king consort or like an heir consort. I don't even know what he would be. A consort, essentially, to the throne. Anyway, it's very interesting. So that one's by A.K. Mulford, and it is the 4th in the High Mountain Court series. And then The Things We Left Behind by Lucy Square is just like sitting on my Kindle and hasn't been opened, but it's a Kindle Unlimited book, so I don't have a time frame for giving that one back. Oh, and I wanted to give one update. I said I would say this at the end of the episode, but I didn't. This was like a couple of weeks ago, and then I forgot last week too. The Skyline pullover, which I wore a few episodes ago, and it was that yarn I don't love. And I wanted to give the update that it's actually very comfortable to wear. It's still like a little bit crunchy. It's definitely not as soft. But that cotton tubing actually is like, it's like a perfect intermediary weather sweater. So like I've been wearing it a lot because it's warm, but it's not, doesn't keep me super hot. Like it's got good airflow. Anyway, that's my read on it. That yarn's not available now anyway. It was not a joy to knit with, but I think if you found other blown tube yarn that's a little bit softer and a little bit nicer of a combination, I would say go for a sweater to be a transition sweater. But I do think like you maybe not want, I really don't think I'd want that to be like a structured like close to me sweater. I think the boxy fit was perfect for that yarn. That's it. That's the update for that. I think that's all for this episode. So please comment below if you have a name for the ladybug. Her name is not going to be Ladybug. It's going to be something more fun than that. For those of you who have hung out with me for 11 episodes, maybe you'll think of something good that I would like. I don't know. I have no idea. I love to name things though that you're spending a lot of time with. Like I think your car should have a name. I think your spinning wheel should have a name. Yeah, so I am really excited about this new acquisition in my life. She is mostly going to be living upstairs, I think, in a zone where the baby doesn't crawl that often, so she can't like mess with it too much. But I do like, actually our couch is a pretty good height for me to spin at, and it's cushy enough that I can sit on the edge and feel comfortable for a while. I also want to be, you know, able to do this around the family. So even if that chair is not the ultimate thing, I think, you know, part of the exploration of spinning is like finding your most comfortable seat and it might not be where you think. So I'm going to try a couple of different places in the house, but chairs that are movable so I can, you know, be where I want to, especially because like one of the benefits of the Ladybug is it's got 3 handles on it. It's pretty lightweight. It's shorter than the Kromsky Fantasia, as in like the where the flyer sits is a little bit shorter, which doesn't actually matter for the angle of like your yarn intake because it's a circle. You can put it in wherever, but it does make it easier to put in the car. So I imagine Ariel and I will sometimes put our ladybugs and cars and spin together or whatever, especially if we don't have to walk far for a knit night, because spinning with friends is fun. That's what I know. Yeah, I hope that you guys have had a lot of good knitting time with me today. Tell me what you're working on, and don't forget, I only got like 1 suggestion in the other episode. If you have fun, I need to show them next week, and maybe this will give you guys inspiration, but I need some pattern recommendations for scraps. scrappy patterns. So I can start planning my scrappy pattern for my leftover Farmer Starter fibers. So I get 12 socks and some larger scrappy pattern out of those. Specifically using the 12 minis is my real goal, but also using the leftover yarn, of which I have much, from each of the socks, because I'm not making knee-high socks, you know. Yeah. That's all for now. Thanks for joining me on whatever day that you're watching. I hope you have a really great rest of your day or rest of your evening, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.